to another episode of the Orange Report Weekly. I'm your host, Kira Davis. This is the show where we give you California news with Orange County views, and we do a wrap up of some of the other live shows that I did throughout the week. You can follow our live shows over on X, Facebook, or YouTube, and just subscribe to the Orange Report or to me, Kira Davis, on X. We broadcast there live 3 days a week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, usually at 3 p.m. Pacific, but we've been flirting with the time a little bit, just seeing what works best. And so 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., you'll get the notices. But we always post the shows to YouTube and to also your favorite audio platform. If you're just an audio listener, that's how I really listen to these shows. I don't really watch shows. I listen to them. That's perfectly acceptable as well. You can put it on your computer and hit play, or you can take it on your device and, walk around, listen while you're working out, whatever. Lots of different ways to listen. But of course, the whole point of this show is to bring you California news and Orange County views and issues that you might not see other places, or maybe you're so distracted and you've got so many other news sources, you're not totally able to plug into what's going on locally. We have some great local sources here in Orange County, so it's my privilege and job to highlight what those sources are reporting and make sure that you see the news as well. As always, thank you so much for joining us. Please sign up across our platforms. Don't forget to sign up for our Substack. That's our publication, The Orange Report. Just go search The Orange Report on OC and sign up. It'll come to you like a newsletter a couple of days a week, and you can see what we're doing over there. And also, I just want to make sure that you have remembered to sign up for The Bright Side with Patsy. That's Patsy Freitag's new podcast where she does good news, which is nice. If you listen to me, you're listening to a lot of concerning content, and most news is bad news. But Patsy wanted to find some good news for you, and she's just launching. She's a partner here at the Orange Report, so go find The Bright Side with Patsy, and you can find her stuff also over at the Orange Report Substack. All right, let's get going. How about a little headline squeeze? Let's see what some of the headlines you may have missed are here in Orange County from this past week. Okay, our first headline comes from the Voice of OC, written by Spencer Custodio. He did a little roundup of the top civic headlines across the county, but he was focusing on the e-bike crackdowns, and I think this is very interesting. It's one of those issues that I think everybody in the nation has an issue with e-bikes, but it's not necessarily a national story. Let's see. Let's read here. Spencer says youth e-bike riders could soon be required to take a safety course on the vehicles as a local assemblywoman advances her bill through the legislature in an effort to curb the rising trend of crashes, deaths, and arrests. At the same time, Brea City Council members doubled the city's e-bike fines for things like riding on sidewalks and equestrian trails, while also moving to have more police drones follow unsafe juvenile riders home to inform their parents. And of course, in Newport Beach, they are banning e-bikes from Newport Mesa High School altogether. They're not going to be on campus. I really think that is what every school district needs to do. They need to start with banning the e-bikes. And I know there are a lot of parents who say, well, my kid needs their e-bike to get to school. It's a long ride. Well, kids got to school for years and years without e-bikes. They can do it again. They can pedal with their feet. That's the thing that can happen. I think a lot of our kids need to be pedaling with their feet. But there are a lot of people who say that these are just Band-Aids, that they really, it's not going to solve anything. And I agree. I think school districts have a little bit of leeway like Newport Mesa did. But otherwise, this really is a state issue. The state is going to have to reclassify e-bikes because you have to understand that this is also a law enforcement issue. There's only so much law enforcement can do. And do we really want law enforcement deployed all over the streets to warn e-bike riders or, to yell at them as they go by or to follow them home to their parents' houses so they can give them a good lecture? We have so many other really desperate situations that our law enforcement needs to be focusing on. So I don't think it's fair to burden them with that, but also you're burdening them with something they can't do much about by law. So if we reclassify them already, that's a licensing issue. The same way that a sheriff might pull over someone for not having registered tags or, having an expired driver's license. When an e-bike gets licensed, it'll have a plate or an identification of some kind. And then when an officer sees a minor driving one of those things, that can be the impetus for law enforcement action. Otherwise, it's just sort of, if the police are around and they can do something or feel like doing something, that I don't blame the police for the e-bike issue at all. I really do blame parents, and it really is getting out of control. And those e-bikes are becoming tools of the gangs. It's not just our innocent children who are maybe riding back and forth to school and being a bit irresponsible, as children are with their e-bikes, although that is a problem. It's not just that, but now these e-bikes, they're being used like motorbikes. They're basically motorbikes. They really shouldn't be on our streets unlicensed. They should be classified as some sort of motorcycle. And that's going to make law enforcement and enforcing the rules in your own area much, much easier, much, much more doable. So the e-bike situation goes on and on. Local city councils are trying to deal with it the best they can, I believe, but not a whole lot's going to change until the state reclassifies these bikes. However, when I was looking at this headline, I found another headline that was very interesting tucked away in that story. And I thought you might want to hear about this story too. It's from the Voice of OC as well. And they linked back to it. And I was so curious about it. This is interesting. Check this out. This is the headline. It's from Noah Bisiata. I think I'm saying your name right, Noah. I'm a big fan. Actually, I love Noah's reporting. He does a great job. OC supervisors appoint new toothless law enforcement watchdog. I found that interesting, so I read on a little bit. Orange County supervisors appointed a new head for their law enforcement watchdog last week, a couple of months after the supervisor's chairman called the role a toothless tiger, and other supervisors said it doesn't do anything. The Office of Independent Review has faced questions on its effectiveness since its inception in 2008. With just 5 staff to oversee 10,000 workers in departments like the Sheriff's Department, District Attorney's Office, and the Social Services Agency. Those complaints came to a head in June when county supervisors were looking over their budget that fell $75 million short of being structurally balanced. What does structurally balanced mean? That feels to me like we're still in debt. And Supervisor Doug Chafee suggested defunding the office to save money. It's never really been productive in anything I thought was meaningful, Chafee said at the June 9th meeting. It's, to me, a toothless tiger on a leash. It really doesn't have any power. While the rest of the board agreed that the office had little to no power, they were split on how to best fix that. Supervisor Vicente Sarmiento, who regularly called for the watchdog to do more, said it's largely window dressing and that he was open to eliminating it altogether and reintroducing it with more powers. A bad idea never goes away. They never just want to eliminate something. We'll reintroduce it. If it's done nothing to this point, what is reintroducing it going to do? It doesn't do anything. Nobody cares about it. It's not doing anything, and nobody cares that it's not doing anything. That means that it's not effective. We clearly don't need it. It's like having a box of extra clothes in your garage for 10 years. You don't need those clothes. You don't miss them. You never go look to see what's in there and put them on. It's just a box taking up space that your mind can't let go of. Throw out the box. We need to throw this all out altogether. But of course, the solution from the Orange County supervisors, the usual suspects over there, the Democrats, is we'll slash it, but we'll reintroduce it. Sarmiento said it has no powers. It has no leverage. I don't see it providing a real benefit. Why reintroduce it then? Just end it. All right, it goes on. Discussions on fixing the office haven't resurfaced so far, with supervisors instead voting unanimously with no discussion to appoint Catherine Santiago as the new director last Tuesday. Previously, Santiago was a senior deputy county counsel. That's a mouthful. Senior deputy county counsel for LA County, where Orange County staff says, Why is someone from LA County? Okay. Where Orange County staff says she serves as strategic advisor to the Sheriff's Department on policy development, legislative implementation, litigation exposure, and training standards. She also worked for the U.S. Air Force for nearly 7 years, and she's currently a member of the Air Force Reserve. Listen to this. She'll receive a base salary of $275,000. That's an $82,000 raise from her previous job with LA County. But with insurance and other benefits, her annual pay is over $420,000. For what? For a job? You don't even know what this job is. It's the Office of Independent Review. A completely vague office that everyone on the board of supervisors said doesn't do anything, probably isn't necessary. We probably need to cut this, but they still hired a director for $420,000. And we wonder why they are structurally unbalanced. It's absolutely insane. It was just, the hyperlink was tucked away in that other story about the e-bikes, and I'm so glad I followed it. Guys, your lives are going to change when you just attend one government meeting. Just attend one. This is why I read these headlines, so we can all see what's going on together. Thank you so much to the Voice of OC for reporting this. We appreciate you a lot. This is crazy. I'll keep you updated, but I mean, come on, you guys, $420,000 cumulative dollars, that's benefits and salary for a public position in Orange County. And this is not a mayor. This is not a city council office holder. This person doesn't even work in education, educating our kids, or, I mean, there's no position no government position I can think of that would be worth that. That's more than the president of the United States makes. I think the president of the United States salary should be the baseline, right? For every county and state position. That should be the baseline. That's the top. Actually, that should be the tippy top. And then everything goes down from there. You negotiate down from there. I don't care how expensive it is to live in California and, oh, these are public servants and the cost of living is expensive here. Yeah, don't tell us. We already know this, but we don't get taxpayer dollars to cover all these expenses. This woman has 3 jobs. She's making millions a year. Insane. Keep your eye on that. It's the Office of Independent Review, right? Let me look again. Let me make sure, because I didn't even know it. It's the Office of Independent Review. Why don't you write your district supervisor today and ask what that office does and why it costs $420,000 of your taxpayer dollars per year? Okay, here's a headline on the governor's race. I don't know if you've been paying much attention to that right now. It's really hard throughout the summer to focus on this kind of stuff. It feels like everyone breaks for the summer and then fall comes back and we all get into it. So we're all getting ready to get back into the heat of the governor's race, but our candidates are still out there doing their thing. Hilton's all over the place. Becerra, no one seems to know where he is at any given time, except when he pops up at a restaurant like he did the other day in LA. So LA Times caught up with him and asked him about the debate schedule. He has not yet agreed to debate Steve Hilton, even though Hilton has challenged him to at least 6 dates, or at least 6 organizations have offered to host a debate between the two. Becerra has rejected everyone, of course. LA Times headline, Becerra pledges to debate Hilton more than once between now and November 3rd. Okay. Javier Becerra pledged on Tuesday to participate in more than one debate against Steve Hilton, his GOP rival in the California governor's race. We'll have debates, and between now and November 3rd, we will continue to go out there and meet folks to make sure they have an opportunity to see the candidates, Becerra told reporters after greeting business owners, community leaders, and voters in a walking tour of Little Tokyo. Voters need to have good information. We'll make sure they have it, and there will be debates. Okay? Becerra held a 55% to 37% lead over Hilton in a UC Berkeley LA Times poll released last Thursday. The margin is unsurprising given the edge the Democrats have in voter registration. Okay, and that's why I want you to stick around for this whole show, because that sentence there, it's not surprising given the advantage they have in voter registration. Well, I interviewed my friend and an actress from Los Angeles, Miki Yamashita, who discovered while she was applying for Medi-Cal benefits, she's an actress, so she doesn't always have steady work. And in between those times, she applies for the public exchange. But this year, because her brain was more attuned to notice after volunteering for the Spencer Pratt campaign, she realized they were sending her voter registration forms every time she clicked on that Medi-Cal application form. They sent her a voter registration form. It turns out that our Medi-Cal system is a voter registration office agency, and pretty much every government agency in California is. So, yeah, it's no wonder that in voter registration, Democrats have an edge, because they do nothing but work to make sure that every single breathing person has a voter registration form here, whether or not they're citizens. So interesting. Anyway, we'll see if Becerra really does honor that. He's stupid. And I mean that, I don't mean that in a mean way, although it is mean. I mean that genuinely, the genuine definition of the term stupid. He's actually not an intelligent man. He's not very smart, can't speak very well. I don't think he has degrees, but he's not very educated. I doubt he reads. You know, when you listen to him talk, not that he can't read, but you can tell a reader when you're listening to them. And he doesn't seem like a guy who reads books. He's just not very smart, and he's not very quick on his feet. It's probably why he was HHS secretary in the Biden administration. Nobody's going to put up a fuss about him. So my prediction is he will agree to a couple of debates, but right at the end, we'll see. Steve Hilton will clean up the floor with Becerra if that happens. 100%. We'll keep an eye on it. Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Do you think he's really going to honor these debates? How do you think this is going to go? I just really don't think he's going to do it. I think he's going to try to just sort of coast right in there on the numbers. We'll see. And then here is a headline that just caught my eye. I'm not even going to read you this story, but the headline caught my eye. It's from the LA Times. It's about Sonia Shah. She's been on this show. As you know, Sonia Shah is running for superintendent of public instruction here in California, and she's been a real threat to the establishment, so much so that the governor has proposed, or is trying to, and I think they've done it, trying to strip that office of all its power and accountability. So it's got nothing but power, no accountability, but it's super powerful right now for curriculum in the state and for what happens in your child's public school. But as soon as Sonia wins, and it looks like she's going to win, as soon as Sonia wins, they're going to strip all the power and put that under the governor's office. Now, if Steve Hilton wins, that could change even the dynamics of that again. We'll see. But this headline, it's just more proof to me that they are terrified of Sonia Shah. Book bans, LGBTQ plus outing policy under scrutiny in state candidate Sonia Shah's Chino Valley district. Sonia is the president of the Chino Valley School Board, and she's been a force to be reckoned with. She came in on the parent movement same year I was running for school board. She won, I didn't. But she went in there guns a-blazing, got the parental notification policy. This is why I don't accept any other school boards not at least doing that to protect their students. I think that's the easiest thing you can do. And she did it despite all of the pushback and blowback. But the title is so disingenuous because they're scared of her. They would never cover an office like this otherwise. Book bans, what book bans are they talking about? There's no book bans. The book bans they're talking about is the school board's policy to keep pornographic books and novels out of the school library. That's not a book ban. That's book curation. You can't have Playboy in the school library. You can't have, and likewise, you can't have a book about LGBTQ dating app and hookup sites in there either. It's the same thing, but it's a lot worse than that. The outing policy that they're talking about is a parental notification policy. They call it an LGBTQ outing policy, as if you could be outed to your parents as a minor for anything, It's upside down world. It's upside down. Shame on you, LA Times. Upside down world. They say that these are under scrutiny. They're not under scrutiny. You're the only people that are scrutinizing it. Everyone else is fine with it, parent-wise, in the district, pretty much. Otherwise, Sonia wouldn't have been elected. What a dishonest, crappy headline this is. It's super shady, and it tells me that they are terrified of Sonia, and they know she's going to win. So make sure you vote for Sonia on your ballot this November for Superintendent of Public Instruction, and make sure you're going all the way down your ballot, everybody. Don't just vote for those top positions of governor or lieutenant governor. Make sure you're going all the way down. It's very important. Sonia can win. I really do believe she's going to win. And the fuss they're putting up over this office tells me that she is within striking distance. Shame on you, LA Times. And one last thing before we go, I want to encourage everybody to go to protectladera.org, sign the survey. Fill out that survey if you live in Ladera. As you know, we have been dealing with this pesticide issue here. We're still dealing with it. We have some great people in our community who have volunteered to step up, represent the community members, do some research, advocate for at least starting with eliminating some of these pesticides. We're calling it a pesticide issue. We don't know if it's a pesticide issue for sure, but this is the most logical place to start. And since people are dying, we need to start somewhere. So there are other theories about what's going on here in Ladera. Some are related to the dump. Some are related to the electric towers that we have spread throughout Ladera. So there are other suspicions, but the pesticides issue has a lot more research to back it up, and not that much more research, but a lot more. It's been an issue in other communities, and other communities have stopped spraying these pesticides, and they don't have our rates of cancer. So it's a logical place to start. I know some people are saying, do you have proof? That proof is a lot more difficult to obtain when you're talking about people who have already passed or have already suffered sicknesses that might be related to this stuff. We're all just doing the best we can to piece it together. And the pesticide, that interview we did with John Gresco, the vice chair of Ladera Civic Council, he made a great point. Go back and listen to that. But he said, look, when I was trying to figure out what my allergies were, we did process of elimination. We started eliminating things from my diet, and until we found the one thing that when I eliminated, my symptoms went away. We need to do the same with the pesticides. We need to do the same with this cancer issue. So we've got a HOA meeting coming up on September 9th here in Ladera Ranch. If you are from the community, we encourage you to come. We don't encourage you to come if you're not from the community, unless you're media, just because it's going to be crowded. So let the community members speak. Some people are coming from outside the community to talk about what they know about this issue, of course, but we're asking that people from the community prioritize this, and you let them prioritize this meeting. That's September 9th, the HOA meeting. And if you're from Ladera Ranch, you already know how to find that information probably, but you can go to the website that I just gave you, protectladera.org, for more information on that as well. And follow them on Instagram as well. There's Facebook communities also, if you're curious. But if you live here in Ladera Ranch like I do, don't look away from this issue. This affects everybody. Even if you don't have kids, you probably have pets. It's going to affect them. And even if you don't have kids or pets, you probably own your home. And what's going on is definitely going to affect home value if we can't get it solved. So thank you to everybody who's out there working on this, and we'll keep you posted. All right, let's get to some clips from the past week. We had some great interviews. Actually, last week, the previous week, we interviewed Rhonda Shader. She is running for state senate in District 34. That's in North Orange County. Rhonda Shader is a former mayor of Placentia and a former city council member, and she's just an all-around fabulous person. It was so great to interview her. I was so moved by a lot of what she said, particularly as it applies to why you would run for office and why you should run for office in the first place. I talked to her about what it means to run for office, what her view of that is. And I think that's really important. We have a lot of people who are really interested in self-aggrandizing, right? That's why they get into politics. The joke is, the cliche is, politics is Hollywood for the ugly. Politics is Hollywood for the unattractive. I'm not here to comment on anyone's looks, including my own. But what I am saying is there is a Hollywood type aspect to politics, and it attracts a lot of people who like to be seen and want to be seen. And that can pervert their intentions and then pervert the way that they govern. So I was really curious to hear Rhonda's thoughts on why you would run for office and how she views the position of state senator and just the position of public service. She had a lot of good stuff to say, including a bit about her time as the mayor of Placentia. I highly recommend listening to this. We clipped up a recap of the interview, so you don't have to hear the whole thing. It's about 5 minutes long, but if you want to go back and listen to the whole interview, just look up our show on YouTube. You'll see the thumbnail with Rhonda in it, and hit play and enjoy Rhonda Shader. We talked a lot about Governor Newsom. We talked about taxes. We talked about affordability, and we talked about faith. So enjoy this clip from Rhonda Shader.
So I was minding my own business, building an insurance agency in North Orange County, when a colleague of mine came to me and said, your city is in really big trouble right now. My little city of Placentia had been on the verge of bankruptcy for at least a decade, if not more. They had just had millions of dollars embezzled by a finance person in the finance department, and they were just reeling. And she said, there's 2 open seats. Will you do it? And I just kind of looked at it as, well, I volunteered to be chairman of the Chamber of Commerce. I volunteered for the Women's Club. I guess I could go help the city now. So I just kind of looked at it as an act of service and, had never done anything like that before.
Wow.
Every resource, every person, everything you've ever had in your background that you could pull from. I mean, it just takes everything out of you. The second 4 years were a little more fun. We had some money coming in the door. Things were in much better order. And we were able to pave streets, make the parks better, and work on those infrastructure things. Because I have found many local elected officials, they forget what the priorities are. The priority is public safety and infrastructure. Those are the priorities of government. And the whole time I was doing it, I was constantly having to overcome the laws that were being pushed out of Sacramento, keeping me from keeping people safe, putting the right housing in my city where it belongs, spending money wisely instead of on, infrastructure like solar or electrical charging stations and stuff like that, things that we didn't have money for that, but yet we were being forced to spend money on that instead of the basics that my city needed so badly. And I thought, there is a disconnect here. Something's wrong. Something has gone wrong. And when this Senate seat opened up, this was after the 2020 census, they redrew the lines, and here I ended up in this Senate seat. Well, the very first thing that everybody can do is vote. And I don't say that lightly.
Spoken like a true politician.
There are a lot of people that don't vote. I know you know that.
Yes.
And especially for Republicans in California, we need all our Republicans to vote. And they don't. It's a problem. Every single time it's cost of living. Every single time, which is affordability. And at the booth, I get to talk to them about what is unaffordable. Where's your biggest pain point? And I hear many different things, but when I continue the conversation, the one thing that we all agree on, every single person altogether, it's food. Food has quadrupled, and our incomes have not caught up yet with all the increase in inflation and the things that we need. And so we're in this weird gap right now. And I think that's why affordability is such an issue for people. You own your decisions. You own everything that comes out of your mouth. Your moral compass and your belief system and values has to be rock solid. And you have to own that all day long. And you have to bring it to every decision, and you have to convey it to people because you signed up for that. You signed up for having to explain yourself. And my observation of our governor is he doesn't have any of those. He changes his mind and is willy-nilly. If you even look at his podcast and at some of the things that he said, I mean, we would probably go clip after clip after clip of him saying one thing and then saying another thing and then saying one thing and saying another thing.
You could host an event for her, spend some money on some sandwiches, invite 10 to 50 friends over and let her come talk. Candidates love that. We love that stuff. So that's the kind of stuff that you can do. Don't keep yourself in a box. I've got to raise $100. Believe me, don't. Rhonda, if someone says, oh, I would love to have Rhonda at my house, but she's a big name in Orange County politics. She's not going to want to take the time to come and speak to a group of people at my house.
Yes, they can do that at shaderforsenate.com. And Shader is just SHADERFOR and then the word Senate. So would love to hear from you. You can sign up you can give there. You can also sign up for my newsletter, sign up to volunteer, anything like that. We must fight for North Orange County. It's the bluest part of our county. We can't let it go. Those people are worth fighting for. And just like we say no LA and OC, we've got to hold the line in North Orange County. So,
the word says do not grow weary of doing good. You are still called to go out there and participate. So if you're discouraged, do that. If you're a Democrat or a left winger and you're just not pleased with how things are going, maybe you're not trying to be a Republican, but you are trying to make change. Here's a change candidate sitting right in front of you. And let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. Thank you so much, Rhonda, for stopping by and talking to us. It was such a pleasure to talk to you. Rhonda really is a genuine woman. It's really nice when you meet truly authentic, genuine people in this business. And I have to say Rhonda was one of them. So we wish her the best. We officially endorse her on the Orange Report. And I encourage everyone to go to her website, check her out. If you're in North Orange County, I do believe Rhonda is the one for you. I believe that she is the representative who will do the best work for you. And if you don't know how to find out who your representative is or what district you're in, I'm going to put a website here on the screen, and you can go navigate to that website. It's with the California government, and you just type in your address, and they'll tell you where your Senate seat is, and they'll tell you who represents you right now. And that way you can be more informed. You're not crazy if you don't know who your representative is, and you're not crazy if you don't know, what district you're in. The districts in California are crazy. They're crazy. So, but that doesn't mean you can't be informed. You can go inform yourself, and it's really easy. So just click on that website and go see who's representing you and be informed as we move into November. This week, I got a call from a friend who is an actress in Los Angeles. Longtime friend. Her name is Miki Yamashita. And she is also political, although that's very recent. During the Spencer Pratt primary election, she felt moved to jump in. She volunteered for him for his campaign. She started Asians for Pratt on Instagram, which did really well, covering the Pratt campaign from the perspective of an Asian, of an Angelino of Asian descent. And she has continued her political activism. But while she was in the midst of applying for Covered California, that's a public health exchange, because she's an actress, which means she doesn't always have steady work. So in between those times, she needs to apply to the public health exchange. She found something crazy that I didn't realize was a part of Covered California. She didn't realize it. And I think a lot of people don't understand what is going on with our government agencies, especially in our public health exchange. She discovered that Covered California / Medi-Cal is actually a voter registration agency. And there are a lot of holes in how they do things. Surprise, surprise. I know that's going to be shocking to you. So check out this clip of this interview that I did with Miki. You can find the entire interview, as always, over on YouTube. It's posted to our Facebook page as well. and you can listen to the audio over at the Orange Report Substack as well. But what she showed me, I shouldn't be flabbergasted anymore, but I really was. And as I talked about earlier on in this show, it brings a lot more illumination to how these polls always work out, how the Democrats are so far ahead in registered voters. I don't know. Hold on to your seats. This one's going to blow your mind. If it doesn't, it should.
And then I get a letter in the mail, okay? And it has the Covered California logo on it. And I'm like, oh, okay, so it's an update on my health insurance. And I opened it right away. So the letter says, "Dear Miki, thank you for applying through Covered California for your health insurance needs." And then it says, "Covered California is a voter registration agency, and we are required to offer every person who submitted an application for health insurance the opportunity to register to vote. This notice provides you the opportunity to register to vote." And enclosed with this letter came this. It is a completely blank voter registration form. Okay. It says official election mail, right?
Unbelievable. I don't think the DMV has even chased me down the way that Covered California chased you down to make sure you had a voter registration packet in your hand.
Right. And so I reread the letter because I was like, jaw drop, right? And so when you look at the language in this letter that I just read, we are required to offer every person who submitted an application for health insurance the opportunity to register to vote. So they're not talking about people who have applied and were vetted and declared eligible for anything. It's everyone who applied. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Everybody.
You could be anybody.
Yes, but not only that, what if someone's like you, Miki, who is sort of this part-time worker? You might be switching insurance a number of times over a number of years. Every time you switch, you're going to get another registration packet. Then that's multiple registrations that you could apply for.
Right. And then it says, Covered California did not check voter registration records before sending this mailing. So if you're already registered, just never mind. But here's a completely blank form anyway.
I'm just wondering if that's even legal, because I think the DOJ actually sued on purging. We're supposed to be purging our voter rolls, I think, here in California. I think we're supposed to be doing it right now, but we haven't turned over. I mean, that's amazing that they're even saying, oh, we didn't even bother to check. And don't even worry about it. We're just sending this to you.
Right. And it opens it up wide to everyone who filled out the form online, right? So it could be anybody. And if you are talking about Medi-Cal, if you're between 18 and 19 years old and you're in the United States legally, in the state of California, you're eligible for Medi-Cal. And there are other exceptions as well. If you are if you are pregnant, I almost said pregnant person. You know what I mean? Pregnant woman, and you.
It's only one kind of person. Only one kind of person. Yeah, that's a whole other show. We'll do that next week.
But if you are pregnant and you are also eligible, if you have a child who was born in the United States and is a U.S. citizen, you can apply on the child's behalf. So there are other, there's leeway, but that person, because they applied, is getting this.
That is
also, what if you're in a homeless shelter? You have like 50 people applying for Medi-Cal from a homeless shelter, and like that shelter gets 50 of these? Like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, and then then that's a whole other bag of worms, isn't it? Like, who is filling out the forms actually, and where are the forms getting delivered to, and who sees, and what do they do with those initial request letters? Like, if you want to do this, here's the form. then what happens if they do go to the homeless shelter? Is it one person? That we've seen James O'Keefe go down to Skid Row and out people who are paying homeless people to sign up for initiatives or sign up to vote.
We've had a woman plead guilty for paying homeless people to register to vote, which is completely illegal. You can't pay people. You can't give people cash for doing that, right?
I mean, you're not supposed to, but apparently this is just the way we do things here in California.
Right. But are you ready for this? It gets even worse. So I'm looking over this, I'm just like, this is unbelievable. It's a completely blank form that I could just give to anyone or fill out myself or whatever. So then I see this red part of the back of the registration form, and it says safe at home. If sharing your address could put you in life-threatening danger, you may be eligible to register to vote confidentially. So you don't even need a address, okay? And then it says, for more information, contact the Safe at Home program. There's a phone number and there's a website. So of course I went to the website, girl. So I go there and I'm like, okay, well, what is this? What qualifies you to just vote with no address? And apparently, if you feel you're in a domestic violence situation or you have a child that you think is in hazardous conditions for some reason, you can apparently they apply to be able to vote without an address, and then I guess you're supposed to submit some kind of paperwork for that. But I mean, again, all I'm saying is, I mean, that may be perfectly a legitimate way to, allow people to vote who are, in some kind of hazardous situation, but still, you don't have an address now?
Now you don't even need an address. You don't need a proof of who you are. You're just going to get this form that you can ostensibly send in. They've clearly indicated they're not back checking the voter rolls. I don't know what there is to indicate that they'll do that on the other end once you've sent it in. And this goes to literally every person who just presses the button to send an application in. Not who gets the benefits, not who finishes the application. Just if you press the button to say, I'm interested in applying for Medi-Cal or other services, you're just going to get what Miki got in the mail, which is like, oh, by the way, here's your registration form.
If you add this to all of the other elements that are at play here that I found out about during the Spencer drama, which was that, okay, every single person in the state, regardless of whether they asked for it or not, gets a mail-in ballot. The ballot harvesting is completely acceptable with no regard for, it's completely irrelevant who your relationship is to the voter for whom you are.
No regard for chain of custody.
Chain of custody, exactly. And then on top of that, the whole postmark situation. So they're accepting things way past the date of the actual election. They are also accepting a squiggly line or a smiley face in
an X. You can write an X. You don't need a signature.
Right. And you also don't you can handwrite the date you mailed it.
Yeah.
It's not an official U.S. Postal Service stamp. On top of all of that, you have anyone who applied for health insurance. You have anyone who you have to have the address. So it's like all of these things, piled together creates so much wiggle room for. But
you made a point to me the other day. You made a point to me the other day, and I want you to make it now, which is like, okay, you've just put all of this stuff in this big bucket with so many holes in it. Add to that bucket the Nick Shirley Act.
Correct. So if you're videotaping anything shady, you're going to jail. Not the people doing the thing you're videotaping.
Right.
You taping. You're going to jail. Yeah. So I mean, this is why I feel like this is not an acceptable way to run any kind of state or local or federal election at all.
No. Well, those were some of the more interesting clips from this week that I thought you guys might want to know about if you hadn't seen those shows yet, but I do encourage you to go back, watch those shows. Please click subscribe on YouTube. That's very helpful. We're just getting the YouTube channel into shape. As you can see, this show's gone through a lot of iterations over the last year, but we are getting into our groove, and you can help us by just subscribing on YouTube. That's very helpful, and we'll continue to get you news and views you can use from around California and Orange County. All right, let's see what's going on in some of the other corners of the internet. Squeeze a little juice out of this internet. I found this post from Assemblyman David Tongapa on Instagram. David he's a great representative up there in Sacramento. We appreciate him so much. But David took to Instagram to tell us about yet another shady thing Gavin Newsom is up to. Let's see. Replaced by Newsom, appointee Judge Bob Whalen, a duly elected judge in Fresno County, was assigned to oversee a controversial case involving a tax measure forced onto Fresno County by the state. He has now been replaced by a judge appointed by Governor Newsom. So they didn't like that judge. And he was an elected judge, so Newsom replaced him. This judge has some dubious connections to the case. Check out David's Instagram post. Well, thank you, Assemblyman Tongapa, for keeping us informed on this issue. It's just insane. I keep asking the same thing over and over again. At what point do we no longer qualify as an American state in the Republic of the United States? If you don't have the tools of a free republic, how can you be a part of that republic? Now, it doesn't matter if you vote. It doesn't matter what you vote for. It doesn't matter if you're a legal voter. All of these things, it's communism, basically. There's no way for the genuine, honest, authentic California voter to really be heard, because if we say what they don't want us to say, they will just overrule us. They'll even take away the officials we have elected ourselves. I go back to the death penalty thing all the time. We have voted for the death penalty in this state 3 times. The last time we did it was just a few years ago, and we voted to make it easier. And the death penalty has still been vetoed by the governor. He basically just hit pause on it, and there you go. Your vote doesn't count. So again, I just ask people, at what point can we no longer be considered an American state? And then what are our options as citizens? It's something to think about. I think more people need to be thinking about that. Okay, and to close the show out this week, here is our Orange Countian of the week. It is Pauline and the crew from SoCal Edison. Pauline is a faithful and astute Santa Ana resident who saw a raccoon stranded at the top of a light pole for 2 days, and it's been terribly hot. So you can imagine that poor little raccoon must have been suffering up there. He somehow got himself stuck up there. Pauline sprung into action. She filmed the raccoon, and then she found out how to get SoCal Edison out to help the raccoon, which they did. Check out this video from ABC7 News.
Well, there was nothing out of the ordinary about the power pole right behind me here in Santa Ana, but if you would have come here last night, you would have seen this. A raccoon slumped over the top of it. It appeared to be scared and struggling, and it stayed up there for 2 days in this heat with no food or water. A woman named Pauline lives in the home right next to the pole and recorded these videos. She said her husband discovered the raccoon after their dog was barking. They put food and water at the base of the pole, assuming it would come right down, but it didn't. And as time went on, they became increasingly concerned about its well-being. She said animal control wouldn't come out, so she turned to a family friend, a volunteer wildlife rescuer and transporter. She and her network of animal advocates started sharing the poor raccoons' images on social media. Word spread fast around the country, and it worked. Last night, Southern California Edison came out and brought equipment to rescue the raccoon, and sure enough, that's what it took. As soon as that worker got close, the raccoon was seen running down and away to safety.
Well, thank you to Pauline and to the brave crews of SoCal Edison. You are our Orange Countians of the week. And, we'll give an honorable mention to that little raccoon. I mean, dude, if you get up there, you got to get down. I always told my kids that. If you get up there, you got to have a way to get down. Typically, these animals do, but you can imagine it gets weird up there. Sometimes they get stuck. Maybe he wasn't feeling well. Maybe the heat got to his head. Maybe he, drank too much during the day. Who knows? But we're glad to see that the little raccoon's okay to go continue terrorizing our trash cans. Thank you to Pauline for being a good citizen and helping our little raccoon neighbor be rescued. Also, I am speaking at the opening fall luncheon of my Republican Women's Club, Southern California Area Republican Women, SCARW. You can go to scarw.org to find out more about that. I'll be joining them on September 16th as one of their featured speakers for their Women's Empowerment Luncheon. That's September 16th. Go to scarw.org to buy your tickets. They go fast. It's at the Voco Hotel in Laguna Hills, so it's not a huge space. They go fast, so make sure you head over there quickly and go get your tickets and come see me and maybe buy a book, and I'll sign it for you and I'll take pictures and we'll have fun. We always have a lot of fun at these luncheons, and you'll get informed because we talk a lot about what's going on in Orange County and how you can get involved. And as a matter of fact, that club is one of the greatest inspirations for this show. So I love my club, SCARW. I'm so honored to be one of their featured speakers at the opening fall luncheon. Patsy Freitag will also be there as well. And you know her from The Bright Side with Patsy. So come see us September 16th at the Voco Hotel, Laguna Hills. Go to scarw.org for more information on tickets. Well, that's going to wrap the Orange Report Weekly for this week. Thank you for watching. As always, make sure you're subscribed wherever you see us. Go subscribe to the Substack if you prefer email. I know, some of my viewers would just prefer to get an email. Well, you sign up for that. It's a newsletter. You don't get it every day. We don't spam you. Couple times a week, you get a wrap of what we're doing over there, what we're talking about. And that's when you can listen to these episodes, or you can find the episodes on, YouTube, not Instagram, YouTube as well. But we are on Instagram and X. We have all kinds of options for you to follow us here at the Orange Report. And if you have a story that you think we should be covering that we haven't talked about, something that's going on in your neighborhood or suburb, let us know. Send us an email, drop a comment, all kinds of ways to get in touch with us. Thank you so much for being with us and for all your support. Don't forget to, if you're here in Ladera, go sign up for protectladera.org. Go sign up there. Make sure that you're going to make some time to come out to the HOA meeting on September 9th, and make sure that you are plugged in to the Ladera Health Watch community on Facebook as well. Thank you to everybody out there who's working on this very important issue. I will see you next time on the Orange Report. And until we meet again, don't forget, sunlight is the best disinfectant. So go shine a light.